The Bedini Audio Spatial Environment, also known as B.A.S.E, is a revolutionary spatial sound processor developed over the last several years by inventor John Bedini. Spatial sound processing is usually included in the general category of effects applied to music and sound, but it's important to understand that this process is uniquely different from reverb and most other forms of digital sound processing. One of the major effects made possible by the B.A.S.E process is the ability to make a musical performance, whether live or recorded, inhabit the space in which listening occurs in a way that sounds independent of the speakers. The result is a sound that is more real and compelling, a three-dimensional sound that envelops you. The B.A.S.E sound can be added to any stereo system, recorded on an album or soundtrack, or broadcast over conventional stereo radio and television. We'll demonstrate these applications later in our presentation. And now a few words from the creator of the Bedini Audio Spatial Environment, John Bedini.
Hello, I'm John Bedini, and I'm the inventor of B.A.S.E, which stands for Bedini Audio Spatial Environment. I've been involved with stereo reproduction and trying to get three-dimensional sound for 15 years. What I found out was that no matter what you're recording out there, you could never bring it back the same. Things would just not hang in the air. I often wondered when I was at a concert, why do we hear the way we hear? Why can't I hear that on a record when I play it back? Where's the ambient space? Where does the effect go? How come I hear the crowd behind me? How come I hear all the voices around me and I still can focus on a center? That led me to do development in binaural heads. The binaural head is a model of a human head with microphones placed in its ears. The binaural head started me on the process of building B.A.S.E because I didn't want to walk around my whole life wearing headphones. I wanted to hear it over two open-air speakers. There's a difference between headphone listening and speaker listening in that headphones, you're in a tight, confined space. Your ears are blocked off. So if you wanted to create a binaural sound, you'd have to block off a room down the center. You'd have to lay your nose against a cardboard wall down the center and hear the left speaker and the right speaker, and then you would be in a binaural situation. But we can't do that in our living rooms. That's why I invented B.A.S.E. And I use the term Bedini Audio Spatial Environment because you're able to control the space around you. That's what I wanted to accomplish with B.A.S.E.
Alan Howarth is a motion picture soundtrack composer and sound designer. His credits include Walt Disney Studios' The Little Mermaid, Paramount Studios' Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, and Universal Studios' Back to the Future 2. In this segment, Alan discusses the film applications of the Bedini Audio Spatial Environment.
I was amazed in my first experience with B.A.S.E. I met John Bedini, and he had a little box breadboarded up, just circuits, etc. He put the headphones on me and he played me some compact discs. And he said, "Here, listen to this." All of a sudden, I heard sound all around me. The headphone experience was no longer just a closed space. It was like the headphones now were removed and space was all open again. The perceived width of the sound was from site to site on a clear day instead of being in a fog where you were in a closed space. And also because the B.A.S.E unit now has controls over the center image and the amount of space, you could even collapse space if you wanted to feel claustrophobic. When we see depth, we look through two eyes. Those eyes are making a comparison. They're taking two pictures slightly offset by the distance between the two eyes. And we're making a comparison. We're making a judgment. Okay, I see it in this eye this far. I see it in this eye this far. Then between those two, it must be located there. And the brain learns these moves. I think the ears are doing the same kind of thing, and according to John Bedini, this is true. One ear is checking the image left, one ear is checking the image right. Those two audio images are now combined in one brain. And the brain is making a differential comparison between the left and the right ear and deciding, I hear that more to the right, therefore it must be on the right. Or I hear that more to the left, it must be on the left. Or I hear this equally left and right, it's probably in front of me, but it sounds a little strange. Maybe it's behind me. And all these comparisons are what the brain is doing. The B.A.S.E unit enhances the ability for the brain to make these judgments. Film has a fixed image in front of you, and now we want to make appropriate sound image to go with it. We deal with dialogue, music, and effects, and pretty much in that order of importance. We have to hear everything that's said. That's the story point. That's what propels the movie from point A to point B to point C. The music is all the emotional content in a movie. And too much music building up in the center speaker will now conflict with the dialogue. So with the B.A.S.E unit, you can now spread the sound across left, right, surround, and minimize the amount of information in that center speaker. So you can develop clarity by separating the sound across the 4 channels that you have to deal with, instead of having it all build up in the center. Sound effects wise, the same thing. I can keep my backgrounds in sort of the panorama of the movie without having to have the effect also contained in that center speaker. I recently worked on an animated film called The Little Mermaid. This is an example of a sound effect that I created for a swirling ocean. This is the effect unprocessed. This is the effect processed through B.A.S.E. Observe how the swirling motion has been added to what was previously static effects.
Once I had so much to give, but you just refused my love. From now on, you're only someone that I used to love.
In this segment, engineer-producer John Arias, whose credits include work with Neil Diamond and Bob Seger, discusses how he used bass on Barbra Streisand's recording, Someone That I Used to Love.
On the Barbra Streisand album, I recorded one song called Someone That I Used to Love. We ran the entire mix through the bass unit without the vocal. I would first just listen to the track, and using the stereo spatial knob, I would continue to move it until I found the spatial effect that I wanted. Then I would add the vocal in and bring the mono signal up to where I wanted the vocal. And then when A-Bing, I could hear the difference between if you could see it, you would measure it as a square foot being the original sound emanating from the speakers. And then when the bass unit was in, it was more like a square yard, the difference in the sound quality and how it's spread at top, bottom, wide, depth. It wasn't just a width that I was looking for. It was a whole depth. It was created an environment altogether. That's how I used it on the Streisand. Currently, I'm working on a retrospective project for Barbra, and we are using old materials to piece together a complete retrospective of her entire career. We're finding that some of the old tapes were, of course, in mono, full-track mono or 2-track, but a lot of stuff was in pretty bad shape, and we had to restore. And in the restoration process, I would transfer it through the bass unit. A lot of times she would say, I wish that track had the vocal just a little bit louder, and I could actually reach in there and grab the vocal and bring it out just a little bit. I would like to have the bass unit at my recording sessions, at my mixdown sessions at all times.
Wake up each morning trying to find myself, and if I'm ever the least unsure, I always remind myself, though you're someone in this world that I'll always choose to love. From now on, you're only someone that I used to love. From now on, you're only someone that I used to love.
To further demonstrate the use of bass on archival material, here's a sample of Stevie Wonder's Livin' for the City, recorded by Robert Margouleff and Malcolm Cecil in 1974. First, with the bass process off, and then on.
Hey, bus driver, I'm getting on that horn. Thanks a lot. Wow. New York, just like I pictured it. Skyscrapers and everything. Hey, bus driver, I'm getting on that horn. Thanks a lot. Wow. New York, just like I pictured it. Skyscrapers and everything.
Hey, brother. Hey, come here, Slick. Hey, you look hip, man. Hey, you wanna make yourself $5, man?
Yeah, brother, I
Hey, look
just
here,
made
run this across
time.
the street for me right quick, okay? Run this across the street for me.
Hey. What? Huh? I didn't know.
This is Phil Harvey. As a syndicated radio producer and personality, I found the broadcasting applications of bass to be twofold. It can be used as a piece of outboard gear in a production room to enhance the sound of commercials, promos, music, and jingles, or it can be used to process the entire stereo broadcast signal. To demonstrate the effect, listen to this promo without bass processing.
Live wire.
A good sounding promo. Now, add the bass process and you get a great sounding promo.
Live wire.
As you can hear, the bass unit adds depth, width, and dimension. With bass spatial sound processing, the end point of the production chain is considered to be the listener's mind rather than a pair of loudspeakers. Bass has already established a strong foothold in the recording industry. Producer-engineer Warren Croyle.
Feeling
on Fire on BMG RCA Records. Producer-engineer Michael Wagner, whose credits include Dokken, Metallica, and Poison. With a look at the recording applications of the Bedini Audio Spatial Environment, here's record producer and Grammy Award-winning recording engineer Robert Margouleff. Bob's credits include work with Stevie Wonder, Devo, and most recently produced Shadowfax for Capitol Records.
B.A.S.E is a spatial sound processor, and it can be used in a variety of ways. For a long time, we have sought to create three-dimensional sounds, and we have just really started to investigate its potential. What the B.A.S.E unit really is, in a way, is a binaural template. It makes us hear binaurally, as if we were wearing earphones, and makes our mind think that we're seeing things that are much wider and higher. And it gives us a much better sense of placement. It's not so much, well, we're going to use the recording console as some kind of a tool to take a picture of reality, that this is the picture of an orchestra in front of us, and this is the ambience we're going to create around it. The B.A.S.E unit can do that. When you're in a recording studio and you're creating a pop record, all of those kinds of conditions are very subjective and very controlled to enhance the sense of place and to create an artistic illusion. By adding spatial enhancement, it's giving us another artistic tool to use to actually create an environment for the music. For example, if you're looking at synthesized music where the signal comes out of a transistor, it doesn't have any acoustic space at all. It's just the sound. And with the B.A.S.E unit, I'm able to create the space without resorting to echo or reverberation. When you're working at a console, the effects you have at hand are the tools that you use to create that subjective sense of place. B.A.S.E is like the sixth knob. It's a new knob on the console. It's a new effect to be used like other effects to create and enhance the recorded performance. I think that B.A.S.E tends to make the acoustic performances sound more three-dimensional. I think that's really what the all-over effect of it is. It gives you more depth, where you can sort of like reach out and touch the sound. It's nice when I hear like my chimes laying on the recording console when I'm mixing and not just in front of me in between the loudspeakers. It's nice when I hear the cymbals over my head and not just in between the loudspeakers. Those are the kinds of things that are unusual, and it's this kind of thing that makes the thing so exciting to me. I've been using the B.A.S.E process now in my projects for about a year, and Shadowfax was my first attempt really to use the B.A.S.E process going from the get-go in recording, going right from the beginning, and to try to create the images that I wanted. Now I would like to demonstrate some of the applications as I have used them in the studio. Here is the sample of the drums without bass. Here is the drum sample with bass. Here is a performance with the bass unit off. Here's the sample with bass. Here is the electronic Zeta violin without bass. Here's the sample with bass.
Now, for your listening pleasure, here's Shadow Facts with Vajra, performed specially for our presentation, featuring extensive use of bass processing.
Prepare for the laser. Prepare for the laser.
Dragon Hawks. I need the Dragon Hawks.